So Kanye is launching his own corn site, and here's why this is such a big deal. Back in 2010, multiple music artists who were asked to collaborate on Kanye's album said that Kanye would often stop everyone from working and make them watch corn videos before getting back to work. In fact, Nicki Minaj said that the first time that she met Kanye, she walked into the studio and he had nothing but pictures of nude women on his computer that he told her to look at, and that he would be watching corn videos when they were supposed to be working in the studio. So from stories like these and others like them, you could reasonably conclude that Kanye had an addiction to adult content.
You feel like your attitude towards women has changed since having daughters?
Nah, I still look at Pornhub.
And according to Kanye himself, all of this started when he was just 5 years old.
Me, Playboy was my gateway into full-on pornography addiction. My dad had a Playboy left out at age 5, and it's affected almost every choice I made for the rest of my life.
So this would explain why in 2018, Kanye jumped at the opportunity to contribute to something that he loved for most of his life. And that opportunity was to work on the Pornhub Awards as the creative director, showing his allegiance to the industry. But not too long later, things all of a sudden changed drastically. In 2019, shortly after Kanye published his Jesus is King album, he openly talked about the negative impact that corn had on his life and how he was now strongly against it.
And it just presents itself in the open, like it's okay. And I stand up and say, you know, it's not okay. But God was patient, and my family was patient for me when they were praying for me. You know, when they saw me at the Pornhub Awards, there's family members, they couldn't tell me not to do it. All they could do was pray and be patient, and it had to happen in God's time.
He went on to talk about how his addiction led him to God and how God cured him from his corn addiction. Now, all of this was around the same time that he told his then wife, Kim Kardashian, that he didn't feel comfortable with her showing so much skin to everyone.
Wearing a tight dress.
You are my wife, and it affects me when pictures are too sexy. I just feel like I just went through this transition where from being a rapper, like looking at all these girls and looking at my wife, like, oh, my girl needs to be just like the other girls, showing her body off, showing this, showing that. And I didn't realize that that was affecting like my soul and my spirit as someone that's married and loved and the father of like now with about to be 4 kids.
But just because you're on a journey and you're on your transformation doesn't mean that I'm in the same spot with you. So.
Okay, all right, cool.
But unfortunately, after 6 years of marriage, in 2021, Kanye and Kim Kardashian split, and Kanye blamed his divorce on his corn addiction. On an Instagram post, he said, "Hollywood is a giant brothel. Pornography destroyed my family. I deal with the addiction. Instagram promotes it. Not gonna let it happen to Northie in Chicago," who, by the way, are his daughters. He also went on to release a text message to his ex-wife saying that his daughters would never do Playboy or adult content, further solidifying his stance against the industry. And this is why people were so confused in 2022 when he seemed to go back to his old ways. In October, he was filmed trying to force Adidas execs to watch corn videos on his phone during a business meeting. And people were even more confused because only a couple years ago, Kanye was telling Kim that she needs to dress more modestly, but lately he's been flaunting his new wife as she dresses nearly naked in almost every public occasion. And on top of all of this, he also put her bare body on the cover of his latest album for the world to see. So while all of this was going on, it was no shock that Kanye confirmed his problems that he had with Christianity, making it clear that he no longer wanted to associate with Christianity or its morality. He would not only go back to making the type of music that he used to make, but he also went back to living the lifestyle that he used to live. And now all of this leads us to what just happened yesterday. It was just announced that Kanye is reported to be planning on releasing his own adult site this summer with the ex-husband of Stormy Daniels, seeing it as a way to make money while bringing about sexual freedom. Now, even though Kanye might personally feel comfortable doing this since he no longer feels bound by the morality of Christianity, it still doesn't change the fact that everything that he said in the past about the damaging impact that corn has had on people's mental health is correct. According to Billie Eilish, she said that, as a woman, I think corn is a disgrace, and I used to watch a lot of corn, to be honest. I started watching corn when I was like 11. I didn't understand why it was a bad thing. I thought that's how you learned how to have sex. I was an advocate, and I thought I was one of the guys and would talk about it and think I was really cool for not having a problem with it and not seeing why it was bad. But then she goes on to say, I think it really destroyed my brain, and I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much corn. I'm so angry that corn is so loved, and I'm angry at myself for thinking that it was okay. So, as we just heard, Billie thought that she was more free than others because she accepted corn, and then only came to realize that it damaged her mental health. And according to the actor Orlando Bloom, he said, when you watch multiple people at multiple times in one evening, how is your actual real-life partner going to match up? Corn is super disruptive to your sex life and your libido. Ex-NFL player and actor Terry Crews also talked about how he saw it as freeing until he realized how much it came between him and his wife. He said, "My wife was literally like, I don't know you anymore. I'm out of here." And that changed me because you realize, yo, this is a major, major problem. I literally had to go to rehab for it. Once I was aware of what it was doing to me, it changed me. People become objects. People become body parts. They become things to be used rather than people to be loved. And we have several more stories like these, from John Mayer to Chris Rock to Hugh Grant to Joseph Gordon-Levitt and plenty of others. And that's why when I look to this entire situation, all of this makes more sense of what Paul was talking about in the Bible when he talks about not being a slave to sin, but instead becoming a slave to righteousness. When we're compelled to give something our attention and it consistently occupies our minds, we're slaves to that thing. And Paul argues that being a slave to sin only leads to outcomes that you don't want. As countless studies have shown, when it comes to being a slave to corn, there's no good outcome that comes from it. It doesn't help you or your life, and it only leads to troubles and disappointments that will give you an overall lower quality of life. Again, outcomes that you don't want. But when we choose to become slaves of righteousness, when we choose to focus our minds on that, it leads to outcomes that you do want. And I talk about some of those outcomes in this video, so go ahead and click here and I'll see you over there. But the next time that you hear that corn leads to sexual freedom, what are you gonna say? What do you mean?